Leibold, the Area Farm Management Field Specialist in North Central Iowa, based out of the Hardin County Extension Office. And I'd just like to talk a little bit about negotiating rents. We've seen a lot of volatility in the markets, and that's caused rents to rally up. We've seen a rather sticky situation with input prices, input costs that haven't come down. So really, I think we need to go back in and take a look at how do we negotiate these leases. Over the last several years, we've seen an increase in the number of flexible cash rent leases. And that's because nobody likes to negotiate rents. Landlords don't like to negotiate rents. Tenants don't like to negotiate rents. Tenants have to make a profit. They can certainly absorb losses for a short run, but they really may not want to or may not need to. I think it's really important that you understand a little bit about your tenant's financial position, and if you're going to try to reach and stretch and get that last dollar, you may have some unintended consequences from a landlord's perspective of trying to do that. It's important to negotiate in good faith, lay your cards on the table, I think, and come to the understanding that maybe there is a person down the road who's willing to pay more rent, but that comes with risk. Okay, I believe that having a long-term relationship with the tenant is really important, but it assumes a certain amount of trust. And then I think we're going to see, as we move forward, probably more documentation in negotiating these. But when it comes to negotiating rents, the first idea, I think, is to really understand what is the potential productivity of that soil. From the tenant's perspective, oftentimes they have a lot of data at their hands. They've got 3 or 4 or 5 years worth of combine yield monitor maps. So they can go back and look at production, and they can look at areas within the field. They can go take a look at web soil survey and pull up the CSRs and look at what those soils' theoretical productivity is. And then we can take a look at the OrthoGIS websites and see how our drainage is doing, and a little bit about erosion. Again, a lot of communication, a lot of discussion back and forth, looking at what's the actual paperwork you've got for evidence here. So that's yield data and fertilizer receipts, and just, what are we doing about Roundup resistant weeds? How much money are we spending on that? So there's a lot of places a producer could shave some costs, but in the long run, both parties are going to benefit by making it a more productive farm and making it more profitable for everybody. Kelvin Leibold, ISU Farm Management Field Specialist out of the Hardin County office.